What's up, everybody? We're going to drop a little segment called Chemical of the Day, have a little fun. Us Haztecs out there keeping the world safe, you know what I'm saying?
That patch.
Boo.
Was that PIO patch?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Making
so
HAZMAT great
non-tech.
again.
Yeah, you know.
But we'll start off. Last week we hit a little bit of carbon dioxide, and this week we figure we stay in the same family and do a little bit of carbon monoxide.
CO1
What you guys all think
versus
about
CO2.
that?
I think it's good. I think Manny will be lost this whole time. So
Yeah.
that look on his face.
I
will
think
be
this is nerd
throughout.
talk, to be honest.
That's why we have to say it. CO1 versus CO2.
Wait, Juan or
Juan.
Juan?
It's all the same, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Uno.
Proceed.
But our goal with the segment is really just any captains, move-up captains, or anybody, non-techs out there, just to give you a little background, little basics of it so you can be confident going in any one of these calls. Sometimes the unknowns throw you off, but if you hear carbon dioxide, what we kind of talked about last week, a fixant, and it kind of displaces oxygen, where this week, carbon monoxide, we're going to see it's not heavier in air, it's about the same as air, and what the little ins and outs of that, so we'll kind of set you up. So if you're preparing how you're going to set up the call and make it easy, break it down and be simple.
Cool.
Oh, sounds good. So, breaking down, carbon monoxide, the CO1.
Okay.
It's going to be the same thing as CO2. It's colorless, odorless. You're not going to see it. You're not going to smell it. And it's tasteless. And so until you start having symptoms,
Yeah, like being a hazmat tech, tasteless.
tasteless. Exactly.
Okay.
But it'll knock you out.
It will knock you out. That silent assassin. There you go. Good one.
Touche,
Good one, John.
touche.
Good one, man.
Good one. Yeah.
CO being a product of incomplete combustion, hydrocarbons, it comes from a lot of different products, basically something that's not completely burning.
Okay.
So we'll dive a little bit more into it, but it comes such as gasoline, kerosene, oils, propane, all that has CO. So fires after the fact, all the CO that's putting off, so it's a lot of difference between you talking exhaling CO2 versus CO. So I know you talk a lot, Manny.
All right, so I got a question already. So for me as a non-tech,
You can cut that out.
yeah, whatever, no. But so for me, what areas or where should I be thinking this may be a potential, CO2 or CO call? I'm sorry.
See,
See,
already
already.
Carbon monoxide, we'll go to that next slide, man, and it'll kind of break down just some basics real quick, and then we'll
Okay.
get what would be your expectations if you say, hey, residential has a CO going off, what automatically you can think where it's at, what we're doing. So basic, the air we breathe consists of 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, 0.93% of argon, and then 0.04% of carbon dioxide. So where CO comes into play is that if your air right now, our ambient air is 28.8, our molecular weight. So CO's right next to it at 28. So it's going to hover right around your head. So if you're thinking carbon dioxide down, or as John said earlier, 2 oxygens attached to it, carbon monoxide, you have 1. Think about a headlight, middle, right? So dioxide down, you can think monoxide middle. That keeps it simple.
All right.
And a few things that keep us in line as being techs is we look at the IDLH of anything.
Wait, what's IDLH?
It's majority of it's that breaks down parts per million at what level. The simplest form is that it's going to kill you.
Okay.
These are the higher levels of the realm of if it's at our particularly is 1,200 parts per million, we know going into that atmosphere, if we start getting readings this high, this is where you start actually having permanent long-term effects.
Okay.
So like an OSHA standard where you see a basic is 50 parts per million on average. So that means in a working environment, if you're in a place that has CO, and we'll explain where you find it, if you're working a normal 8-hour day, you can be in 50 parts per million is their cutoff.
Okay.
So time weighted average. So meaning that can be an atmosphere is you're not going to get hurt. You know you're in this environment, and this is the length you can do it.
So meaning I won't have symptoms or an effect.
You might have minor
Potentially.
symptoms, but
Okay.
yes, this is their level, their top out. This is the science they put behind it.
With no lasting effects.
Okay.
Exactly, and that's really important for us too, because in our volume 2, after fires, we technically can't go into an environment with 50 parts per million or higher on
Right.
CO. So if we're going to do salvage and overhaul, I know now the new rules is we're always wearing
Yep,
PPEs,
turn on.
SCBA,
Right, yep.
but like for fire inspectors or if they're doing some sort of investigation, we want to make sure that the CO is under 50 parts per million.
Okay.
So
That's a little gee whiz. That's a good thing out there.
No, it is.
For investigators and PD, it's so common places we can find it. This will go into your
Yes.
questions now. Gas stoves, automobiles, portable generators, compressors, space heaters. So residential, you can think of your furnaces, anything that outside, automobiles in the garage. That's probably the number one thing. 60% of majority of our calls would be to their vehicle being in a garage. Some type of attachment where maybe they're running it while it's still there, or they coming in from like a hot day, parking it, not realizing there is still some of that combustion
Burning
going
off.
on.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's really important, to talk hit on that. We had a call in a different city where this guy had an older Blazer and he ran it. The garage was open, but he ran it just because he wanted
it up
to
kind of
warm it
thing.
up,
Uh-huh.
get the gas going, stuff like that. Everything that was on his Cadillac converter and just putting off the smoke, the CO rose up because it's lighter in air, went up, right? And it's a 2-story, huge house. And he called because, they started having headaches and all these symptoms of like feeling dizzy and nauseous. So they got everybody out, luckily, because they had babies in the house. So they got them all out. When we got there, it wasn't really a big hazmat scene. They just special called us. But first thing that we saw was they had just had a party and they had a whole bunch of helium tanks. Being helium raises the balloons. It's lighter in air as well going up. So we're like, man, it might be helium, overtakes your, that's why you make those different sounds when you suck in some of that balloon air. So we started reading for that. We even converted our meters to that and we couldn't pick up helium. We're like, there's no leaks. I even used my little spray bottle, see if there's bubbling, nothing. But we started getting high levels of CO up top, so up in the second floor, because again, being lighter in air, everything raised up and had those pockets in the kids' rooms next to the crib, which were scary, man. So extreme high levels of CO. And then once we got to talking to the dad, he's like, "Oh yeah, I ran my Bronco earlier, but I pushed it out, just because I didn't want to fire it up in case of an explosion or something." We're like, that's probably what caused it, running that. So, we hear a lot of suicides. People put, park cars in the garage, and that's what overcomes you, because you're not going to smell it. It's eventually going to overtake you and drop that oxygen level, knock you out. But, that's one of the biggest things.
So
with
I have,
vehicles.
for non-highest tech, or for those folks out there that don't really think this is interesting. So what is it about CO that makes it dangerous? You're talking about I can't see it, can't smell it, can't taste it. So how does it affect our bodies that makes it dangerous?
You go to that next slide. Well, we'll finish that where you can. Last place is just to think about before. We're going to get in the body part of it. It's a
Okay.
chemical asphyxiant, same thing, but so it's a little different from dioxide. So what it does with their oxygen levels. But if you think about where you can find it first, especially commercial to residential, just some few places. You guys went to a QT call, I think, the other
Yeah.
day, or Circle K,
Yeah.
another place. Restaurants are big on it. Warehouses, we have all these big warehouses in our first use coming up. Very big on carbon monoxide. They're going to have detectors, and I'll show you a couple examples here later on. But
Okay.
Amazon, UPS, all those big warehouses are going to have some type of CO in there. And then metal shops and mechanic shops will be another big one. You can jump that next slide. Here you go, buddy. This is what I was setting you up for success,
jumping the
but
gun,
he
man.
loves
Yeah.
it. I love it, dude. That brain starts
It's
clicking.
that-
You're like, ding, ding, ding.
It's that
ding,
non-tech.
Hey, this
you
is
know.
this is the tech mind working
Yeah,
here.
so we gotta be patient.
Non-tech.
You believe? We just
The
want to make
rest.
you believe in us.
Yeah.
Believe in us.
All right, all right.
You want to take this one, boys? A little bit of carbon monoxide can limit.
Yeah, carbon dioxide. You want me to read them?
Yeah.
Limit the amount of oxygen delivered to the body's organs at extremely high levels can cause death. Each year, carbon monoxide poisoning kills more than 400 Americans. Symptoms: headache, dizziness, weakness, upset stomach, vomiting, chest pain, confusion. So you could tell with those symptoms that might be the flu, or just I'm just sick, like a cold. So it's hard to dictate without meters.
Metering, okay.
Or if you've had this in the past, that helps. But
Things we've seen on call, like he said, the suicide thing is that remember they take the hose, put it through their
yes.
door, and that cherry red symptom. So it's displacing that oxygen. So it's going to push out all the oxygen in your body, and it's going to start hitting those receptors. So you're going to see CO. That's why you get cherry red. Lips are usually your first thing that go, and then it'll be your skin color, really hot to the touch, skin color, vomiting, dizziness, and eventually you're going to pass out. They say that's silent assassin because it's also like carbon dioxide. It'll put you to sleep. You're not getting back up if you don't change the environment. So a big thing to think with CO, if you have a lot of CO and you're getting high readings, ventilation's the key. Most of the problems, like these older commercial structures or older commercial buildings, if they're not ventilating properly, that's when you see like I'm dizzy, I'm lightheaded, or something's just off. Those are probably symptoms right off the bat. Even if you go to it could come out as an ill person. You're like, why is there an ill person in old McDonald's? You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Or a mechanic shop, they have bad ventilation or their AC stopped working, and all that monoxide's pushing out that oxygen and just filling up. And then it's going to displace it, then you're sitting in there just breathing it in.
And then what's weird, like Oscar hit on it with that word pockets, like we're all familiar with that. But that is just how the room's set, or maybe there's not ventilation right here, so it's just going to chill right here. And
So it just hovers there.
Yeah, so it'll just hang out because of just its molecular weight and how it's distributed. It'll just sit there.
More
until,
nerd talk again.
Yeah,
There it is.
until you either breathe it in or blow it out. So.
And the big places there for pockets is the closets. You know, closets that don't have windows, the ceiling fans. A lot of closets don't have like the AC vents coming down, so it gets in there and it sits in that pocket. So things that we look for when we go in there metering is also opening up the attic space. You know, the crawl space. We get up there, pop that attic hole, and see if there's any CO in there, just because that's where it could fill up and eventually cause some more issues. So. But things to look for you as a non-tech, you know, for you as your
As a normal person?
as a normal person,
Yeah.
responding on scene, you know, things that we really said when we said it last segment with the CO2 is, you know, it's a hazmat call until proven otherwise, and you guys don't have the equipment, not even your noses or your sixth sense, if you think you have one,
I do.
to be able to identify it. You know, so still getting there, either if it's a gas station or a residential house. Treat it all as a hazmat call until proven otherwise. You get there, if you want to lay a line, but definitely pull a line down for protection, because you don't know if it's natural gas that we'll cover later. But natural gas, you know, it's a natural product, but also be putting off CO. You know, so you always want to assume the worst. Put down the line, full PPE, and on air. If you have to evacuate, you're always on air. Don't rely on your nose or your human senses to try to identify this, because again, it's going to get you. And if it overcomes you and you drop, or it drops your whole crew, then, you know, until someone else gets there and finds you or pulls you out or changes the environment, you're going to be there. So just keep that in mind. Always treat it down, put a line down, and also, you know, stay on air and wait for us.
So for me, as a non-haz tech, possibly first on scene, get everybody out. You know, obviously we're going to put a line down, like you just talked. But as far as tasks on air, we're going to evacuate, cordon off, and then just wait for you guys to be able to come meter.
Did you go to hazmat school?
Oh, yeah.
Super simple.
Isolate?
Evacuate.
And deny entry.
Entry.
There you go.
That's what they
Go-
teach you.
All right.
Go
And you
to.
hit 'em. Good job, Bob.
I mean, look, it's hazmat. Come on. How hard?
We
could
just
it
want you
now?
to know that it's going to say on your MCT, you know, CO going off or CO2, you know, the detectors are going off. And that has to red flag you, man. Like CO2, man, I know it's heavier in air. I go in, I'm confident. CO, like, okay, something has to be burning here. There has to be some type of machinery working in here, and it's probably pocketing. That's why they're having these symptoms. Cherry wet, lightheaded, still silent, odorless, or not silent, but that would be interesting, but silent, but odorless.
Right, for sure.
And you know, and it doesn't have any color. So then those two right there are probably the most dangerous ones besides natural gas that you're going to run into. And we run on them quite a bit.
Yeah.
Another thing that we run into a lot of issues with, smoke detectors. Now there's new
Yes,
smoke
the CO2,
detectors that talk to you and are dual CO and you know, smoke as well. But a lot of people buy the CO detectors and plug them in, right? Well, CO is lighter in air, so it's going to move up. So if it's going off at your plug, that means there's that much space of
Okay.
8 feet, 9 feet of house full of CO. So by the time it hits that meter, something's bad, you know. So you know, and they don't really explain or educate people like, hey, these aren't really made to be put down here,
below
you know. But they put them because natural gas, again, if it comes out, say you have a gas stove, gas furnace, and you leave it on. By the time that fills up, goes up, and then starts coming back down, it's going to overcome you and it's going to take you out. So if you're looking at that and that's going off, either there's obviously a malfunction or, man, this whole house is full of that. So again, best thing for non-techs, get everybody out, stay out, wait for us. Don't go in there trying to open up windows, because remember, CO is a product of incomplete combustion. So if it's something that can, it is flammable. So if it catches a spark and there's enough, it could be an explosion. So
Okay.
And that's a good education piece too, is what you say, because that segued into that slide. So
Right
if
here,
you
baby.
see it on a call and you see them plugged in the wrong spot, you know, hit the homeowner up with some of this.
the best one is a dual sensor up top, or the ones that you can screw on top.
Right here, dude. Residential, 5 feet from the ground or 6 inches from the ceiling at every sleeping area. So that actually was a code put in January 2013, required by any new builds have to have that. So I thought another interesting thing was commercial, 100 feet from any source inside of a closed structure. So Those are things actually in laws in Arizona. So going into some of these elderly that they always like to have those little space heaters too, man. That's another thing. But if their house was built before that, they
Before
really don't know.
2013?
They really don't know or don't have an idea of like, hey, there's a dual. Or we go on all the time now. All these smoke detectors are like 15 years old. These need to be replaced every 5 years.
Okay.
Our normal detectors are 10. These need to be replaced for 5 years. Dual can be a little different, but I was reading a bunch on like they're just out of service, man, not working properly, and people don't realize it. And then that's silent. The silent assassin comes in, odorless, colorless. You'll never know.
And
Put you to sleep, baby.
Tasteless.
And tasteless.
It's interesting.
Knock you out.
It's
It'll
interesting.
make you go night-night.
True. It's interesting. We're on this topic because, and I was going to say, because especially some of the things that happened in the past for us, but how paranoid I am and how like prepared to try to be with just everything in life. But
Yeah, for sure.
we're going to a cabin next weekend. We rented a cabin up north in Greer for 5 days. We'll be up there. So I don't know if you guys remember that unfortunate situation happened in Flagstaff where a family went out there camping and they actually got a cabin. And I think like mom, dad, and 3 kids passed away because they had gas and there was a leak. The detectors were old or something malfunctioned, never caught it, and they passed away. And it killed the whole family because of the CO. So
I know what you're gonna say.
your boy got
You bought
Oh yeah, you got your own.
bought
Yeah.
one, huh?
Yeah.
Yes,
I got
you
my
did.
own-
I knew it.
I got my own meter. Yeah.
Up here.
So
You see these red lights,
Hey.
like time out. Right?
Yeah. Hold on. Back up.
Did you
one. It
fall,
says
or is
6
it-
feet?
5'5", bro. So we're gonna be right.
Never been exposed.
Kids are running.
So it's
5 feet from the ground, you're gonna be all right.
it's like a similar, but it's just my little paranoid stuff. Too.
Yeah.
But I'm taking mine just because again I don't know what these cabins are equipped with. The meter might say hazmat, 180. So if you guys are missing one, don't worry about it. But no, man, it's just how I am. Because I don't know what these cabins. Not that everybody has to do that, but I'm just a little paranoid on certain situations, and now being the hazmat geek, I'm gonna take care of it. So.
So let me ask this then. For me, I come on to say it's a single family home. They're saying there's CO detectors going off. What troubleshooting can I or should I do or should I not do? What would you recommend for non-techs?
Just pull them out, get them out, ventilate it. Like he said, you don't have to necessarily open windows. Don't go in there and have to do all that. If it already is, keep that front door open, get them out, sit them outside, because the best way to handle this is just get them out of the environment and put them in normal levels of oxygen.
Okay.
That's the main thing. Once you start breathing it in, it'll naturally happen, unless they've been exposed to it for a long period of time. But then we'll come in, we'll meter, but then we also have, it's called a RAD 57. We actually can read the amount of CO that's running through.
Saturation.
Yep. So we can see, like, are they have high levels?
Big word.
The big treatment to it is just giving them high flow oxygen, and that
Okay.
naturally is going to push out. They're going to go to the hospital, which they should, especially the elderly, just because you don't know how their body's going to react. But changing the environment's number one, dude.
So for me, giving them oxygen, what I'm doing is I'm replacing those CO2 molecules with those molecules.
Yep.
See?
If they were exposed, and just because you go on a call, you don't
Yeah,
want to bring them
TV,
out
yeah.
and just load them with.
Manny's gonna
O2,
give oxygen to everybody high
Yeah,
flow now.
yeah.
But again, keep in mind, Manny, that you don't know what you're going into.
Right.
It could be full of
That's
whatever.
where HAZMAT here comes into
So
play.
again, we're problem solvers, right? We want to fix things, and
Right.
you guys are like, hey, we don't want to waste these hazmat teams, or they're coming from like
Wherever,
really
yeah.
far. So you get there and you want to solve the problem by, let's just ventilate. Well, that might not be the issue. I mean, it might be something that is more dangerous and can either
Right, make it worse.
expose you to something. Yeah. So just get there, get the people out, have that protection line down, and wait for us. And again, we have our meters are calibrated. We do a really good job at that. We just had the calibration guy over. And, you have some of these departments, and I don't want to bash anybody, but some of these departments that just have the old school. We used to have those
The little
on
yellow
our
ones?
visor too, the
Yeah,
little yellow ones
I
that we used to
remember
keep
those.
on there, and go in there and meter after every fire. So even on fires, man, keep your gear on. For the departments that are non-techs, but have those little CO detectors or CO2. When was the last time they calibrated? When was the last time they trained on them? What are they really reading? And we
Okay.
talked about it with CO2 a little bit on 1% dropping, from 21.7 or 21.8 to 19.
I'm just hearing nerd talk right now.
That's a
just
big
so you
drop.
know.
So at the end of the day is, just don't go in there trying to look and fix a problem. Wait
Right.
for the guys that have the meters and are going to take care of it.
All right, so I feel like I'm interviewing you guys right now. So as a non fire department person listening in, what is it as a homeowner or a private citizen? What do I look for in my house, or what can I have in my home to kind of help me out with this silent, odorless, tasteless?
CO detector right there, man. They have the dual, like he said earlier, and go look at
Okay.
your detectors. See what they are. They're going to be in different placements. One's going to be on top of the ceiling. One's going to be down a little bit or 5 feet up. Be like, why is that there?
On the
Check it
side
out.
of the wall, you mean?
Yeah, check it
Okay.
out. Outside of the bedrooms. That's exactly where they are. Look at it. Take it down. Make sure they're within 5 years, or if it's a dual one, I think they're 10 years. Check the batteries and just know what it's there for. So if it starts going off, we'll get called out and be like, hey, our fire alarm's going off. Like, no, that's CO. How long has this been going off? Because maybe something's going on in their garage or just little things like that. I would just know my detectors and know my safety measures in my house to protect my family.
So me as a homeowner, the first thing I want to do is say, do I even have these in my house?
100%.
Okay. If I don't, or if I do, check to see how long they've been there. So there's going to be something that indicates a year inside of it. So I take it off,
Manufacture date.
look inside,
Always says it.
right?
Yep.
And then if it's beyond 5 years, if it's only a carbon monoxide detector,
Yep.
replace dual detector, 10-year
Up to
kind of
10
up
years.
to 10 years.
Yep.
And then I would just take that to the store, the hardware store, so that you can match it up versus trying to think, just bring it with you, and then they'll say, oh,
Okay.
it's this one that plugs in, because it's just one of those little prongs that plug in. You don't have to do a bunch of wiring and stuff.
And remember, if you have all electrical, you don't really need it, but it's always a safety component. But if you have definitely a gas stove, gas furnace, it's good to have that, you know.
Okay.
And only have them like on the hallways and sleeping areas. You don't want it right next to the kitchen because it's you're gonna have it a little higher
Off-gassing kind of thing?
off-gassing there,
Okay.
or in the garage because again it's gonna
'Cause of your
go
vehicle.
off. But
Okay.
yeah, just sleeping quarters and hallways.
I like that sleeping
And
quarters.
here's a couple meters just so you can kind of get an idea of, if you guys are looking at this visual, there's a commercial one and a residential, just to kind of give you an idea. Because those warehouses and a lot of these places, you don't realize they're right there in front of us. We just walk by them all the time. Well, all we look for is the fire alarm panel. But if you look, they can be like, why is this going off? It could be a CO.
Okay. All right.
So just little gee whiz, educate yourself, protect yourself, man. CO are two things not to play with. We really want you guys just to be successful and safe out there. Any questions, or if we have anybody that's subject matter experts in these want to come on and talk, obviously write a comment, email us, please. We would love to reach out. We'll bring as many people on. We want to bring safe hazmat to that next level. So
Cool.
keep your first responders out there safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
learned up. You can put a CE in for this too.
There you go.
This is a week off your hazmat class right there, play. You got 4 weeks left.
4 weeks left. Yep.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. Chemical. We're gonna try to bring Chemical today at least once a month. Kind of keep going and building from this. So we're very grateful and appreciative that you guys keep supporting us, man. Thanks for everything, everybody out there.
Stay
Pass
safe,
on,
guys.
brothers.
Oh yeah, the
Don't
Pats.
do it. Don't do it.